All right, welcome everybody to episode 48. Sorry, episode 52. My math is just completely off here. Episode 52 of the Navigating Now virtual roundtable series. And I will share in a second why the math is off, because we took pretty much all of July to really focus on Work 2.0, the wonderful perspective that we were able to share on LinkedIn and our social media platforms. But we are back at the virtual roundtable today, and I want to welcome everybody who joins us every week, Thursday at 3 o'clock. We go live to LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, all social media channels. We want to particularly welcome our LinkedIn community. We are so fortunate to be able to go live on LinkedIn each week, and the Navigating Now platform has evolved. We've brought a lot of different incredible voices and leaders to the table, and we hope you get a lot out of these discussions. We've also brought unique perspectives on topics that matter most, like return to work or the hybrid work model, and how we as leaders are supporting our people in transition. Today, we are diving back into the small business space, and you all know that I absolutely love talking to small business owners. We call this Small Business Strong, and our Navigating Now community is made of a handful now, over 30 small business owners that have come forward, shared their story, shared their perspective, shared a little bit about their business. And it has inspired a lot of people to either make significant moves and go out on their own, or potentially make that next step or two. And today is all about those small steps, those little ingredients that it takes to run a small business. And we've got a new guest and a new member of the Navigating Now community, Delano Saporu. Delano comes to us with a really unique and diverse background that has led him to starting a business of his own, a client services business. I can absolutely relate to that, having started my own in 2016 and now growing a team. Delano really focuses on enabling his clients and his customers to see their business a little bit differently. And that is the common language that we share with Delano. So Delano, thank you so much. Welcome to the table. I'm so excited to dive into this discussion.
Thank you, Anthony. I really appreciate you for having me on today.
Absolutely. So Delano's also here in Chicago. He's a Chicago native, correct?
Yeah, yep. Well, I'm from Minnesota. I did my MBA in Chicago, but I now live in New York. Yes.
Okay. All right. So a little bit of Chicago exposure, now live in New York. Once a Chicagoan, always a Chicagoan. So yes. As long as you know deep dish pizza and the Cubs losing record, you're good to go. But before we dive into it, let's share a little bit about you and a little bit about your story, because I know that you've got a pretty diverse background, both professionally and personally. We'd love to know a little bit more about you.
Yeah. Thank you, Anthony. Yes. Again, thank you for having me on. I think this is a great platform for people to, as you mentioned, one, share their story, but two, tap into a community of people that you're able to help as well. And that's what, I think is really special about people that are running small ventures and small businesses, to be able to tap into that. But as you mentioned, Anthony, I'm from Minnesota, grew up there, born and raised, and I spent, 2 years in Chicago doing my MBA. After that, that's what brought me out to New York. I was working in investment banking and capital markets. But we talk about passion. That I really had to focus on my passion. So that's what led me to starting my business. And really, what we do at New Street Advisors Group is, one, as a single person registered investment advisory firm, we help people financially plan. And then also, we manage portfolios for people. So we're managing a lot of money for people that want to invest for retirement. And that's one of the focuses we focus on, obviously. And then we're going into some other stuff later on. But, that's my background. I'm really happy to be here. And thank you for having me on this platform.
Absolutely. I want to almost approach this episode in 3 chapters, because every time we bring a new leader to the table, we get to know them a little bit first. And I just knew right away the chemistry was there. I think you and I have a very similar mentality. I think we also have a very similar approach at building a business. Yeah. One of the things that really sticks out as you introduce yourself and New Street Advisors is you use the term "we," and I absolutely love that. Because we are going to get into brand development and what it means to grow a small business, and how some of the small nuances in terms of the way you position your business and you speak to your business really help the scalability and the longevity of your business. So we want to get into that. First, though, I want to get into a little bit more of the mentality. There are a lot of folks out there that tune in that are working for larger organizations or have spent a career working for larger organizations that have aspirations of either going out on their own, whether that's in client services or just pursuing an idea that they might have, a product that they might have, and they struggle with the first few steps. It's an age-old challenge that we all have.
Yeah.
And no one single small business owner has the right formula, but you've got some of the key ingredients, and I think we share them. And so I want to talk a little bit about the mentality that it takes to start a small business and some of the maybe challenges that you had, or some of the pleasant surprises that you had as you started New Street. And then we're going to wrap it up with a fun kind of quick fire round at the end. We're going to have some fun with just some kind of random questions that allow you to reach our community. So let's dive in the mentality. I want to maybe first by asking Delano, as you've now grown New Street Advisors over the course of the last several years, what would you say, over the last 2 or 3 years, as you've really built your business, is the one lasting trait or competency that you have that makes you successful in running a small business?
That's a great question, Anthony. I would say, if we're sticking to one, it's not, competence sounds so binary, but it encompasses a lot of things. It's not just confidence that you can do the business, but it's confidence that you can, one, shift your strategy. So if something happened, when I first started the business and was reaching out to people that we could help, it was a wide ranging, right? It was reaching out to a lot of people. But when I found out the niche of people that really bode well to the story, that really hung on to what we're doing, that really wanted part of this, and they saw, great efforts from what we're doing, that's where I really realized, okay, that's where I want to stick to. So if I wouldn't have the confidence to shift the strategy, say, hey, let's not spray everywhere. Let's focus on the community of people that this works for. That would have been something where I would have been spinning my wheels for a long time. Another thing is confidence to actually say, hey, I believe in what I'm doing. And I think we both were talking earlier about, some of our readings that we've done. Another book that I've read was talking about that contrarian thought. I remember when I was talking to a lot of people about, there's a few people prior to starting this business, Anthony, they mentioned, okay, it doesn't really work, unless you know X, Y, Z, or a lot of these people, or know a certain group of people. I said, no, based on what I was looking at, the market needs this will work. And it doesn't matter the amount of people, it just matters, who you're helping. And it doesn't matter if they have X, Y, Z, it just matters those people that you're helping, if you can scale the business using a tech stack. So that contrarian thought, I knew that I believed in something that a lot of people that I talked to didn't believe in. So that lent to the confidence of saying, hey, I've looked at this, I've seen this across social media, I've seen this across the network of people that wanted this, then it would work. And having that ability to execute that idea. Another thing is just tapping into your skill set. I think we all have passions that lie in different areas, but we want to align that to our skill set, right? So you want to say, okay, I have a passion in this area, but is it something that I'm actually skilled at, or should I focus on something a little bit different as well? So that's another part of that confidence, is saying, all right, you could be ability to be introspective of yourself and say, all right, I may love this, but I'm not so good at this, but I do like this, and I also am good at it. Maybe this is something that I can help people with and work on. So those are the kind of the areas that I think, that's one of the things that I realized. It's not confidence and arrogance. It is something, though, as you probably noticed when you first started, you said 5 years ago, you will have to be able to weather storms or weather naysayers, because a lot of people don't have that same risk profile as you, right? Because it is going on your own, creates a different risk profile than generally most people have when you look at the amount of people that live in work in corporate America versus run their own thing, right? So being able to say, okay, they don't fully get it, but I still believe in my thesis, I'm going to try to plunge through with it, is also another thing. But I think that the main thing that I would look at it as I look back over the last few years.
Let's define your business a little bit, right? Because I don't want to very quickly say you're a financial advisor, because I know you're more than that. So tell us just a little bit about your business and what you do for your clients.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Yeah, that's a great point. Like, it is like the easiest way to say it is a financial advisor. So you look at the breakdown of financial professionals. It's actually grown now because of social media and different things. But there's registered investment advisors, which is what my firm is. So as a registered investment advisor, you're fiduciary, and you're able to help clients do financial planning as well as portfolio management. So I discretion meaning I actually buy and sell for my clients. So discretion to buy and sell for my clients based on having a Series 65 fiduciary certification, right? And there's also, as you mentioned, different areas. So it's separate from a broker, right? Nothing's saying wrong with a broker, but a broker may work at your local, like Edward Jones or Northwest Mutual, and they have a different set of standards that they go by, and they primarily push a different more products. They push more product based on their compensation structure. Whereas myself, my compensation structure is aligned with my clients, and if their retirements are doing well, we're doing well. If their planning is going well, they're bringing more people on. So that's kind of how it goes. But we do a lot of great things for the clients. You mentioned we do serve a lot of people that also run their own businesses. We do serve people in corporate America, people in professional athletes, people in lawyer corporate. We just want to help people that realize that, hey, I want to get expert advice, and I didn't want to go to XYZ firm where they were maybe discounting me a little bit because I didn't have $10 million right away, but I was a young professional growing to that. And I wanted to work with someone that would sit down and work with me in that aspect. So that's where we kind of live, and it's really been great as we've opened up some different avenues for people.
And so being a soloist and being a fiduciary, does that allow you to focus more on depth than width? Because when I think of traditional financial services or financial planning models, it's all about building a extremely wide pipeline, like reaching as many people as you can, and then having them reach their friends and family, which is extremely effective, and it's an extremely effective way of building a network. But maybe how are you building a network differently?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say we're doing that, and also we tapped in the community. So as you mentioned, you can spread a wide net and make sure that you're talking to everyone in possible, which is good for any person that's running their own firm. More people that you could possibly serve, that see value in what you do. You want to talk to them, but it's also time things. As soloists, as you mentioned, I don't want to waste time now that I've been at it enough. I know who is actually this benefits more than not, right? I wouldn't reach out to someone I feel like I already know based on what I've done for the last couple of years and data I've collected from reaching out to a lot of people, or having people reach out to me. Now it's more referral based than anything. I know where I could focus my time, where the community lies, and where people really see the value in this. So we do still get that depth. We do kind of keep wide within the community. There is no kind of hard, fast rule for the people we serve, and it's really widespread. That's what I love about it. We didn't set any minimums. We didn't set any specific demographic. We love to work with all different people. So that's where we sit. But like you mentioned, we can get depth because we do that planning portion, but we also do that portfolio management portion as well.
Was there, a certain, moment, or even like a couple days or a weekend where you just went in the lab and you created this business, and you knew coming out of a meeting or a discussion or a session that like this was it, and you were going to go all in?
Yeah. It's actually funny because I used to work at Credit Suisse in West Bay, New York. I would be sitting there, Anthony, like not loving it. I hated the job. Frankly, I didn't like the people I work with. I didn't like anything about it. But every day dragging my feet to walk from where I was living at that time to there was a bear. And I would just spend time online looking at different avenues of where I could do. I knew I loved investing. I'd done that for a long time for myself. I knew I loved talking to people. I knew I loved financial planning. I had read books. One of the first books I ever read was like when I was a teen or late teens, early 20s, like How to Be Richer, Smarter, Better Looking at Your Parents by the Zach guy. And it was just a book that really put me on to like what financial planning, all that different stuff. This was many years ago. And so I was like, why am I not doing what I'm passionate about? I used to tell, another colleague, we would vent every weekend because she worked at JP Morgan about, we would just vent about the job. And I'm like, why are we still venting and complaining? And this is my own thought process when we could just, like I said, make a change. And so while I was doing the research, I was figuring out there's an avenue of people that want this help, that need someone that can, do this for them. And I need to reach them. And so the lights started clicking, the wheels started turning for me, and I started playing with the different things. But, like you mentioned, the light turned for me when I left CS and I was talking to firms, and there was just a great fit. I want to do this as you started your own firm, and I want to do this my way. You found a niche in helping a lot of great people in the way you're doing it. And I want to do this my way and not be under the guise of something that I didn't fully believe in, that was fully encapsulating how I wanted to serve clients. And so, that was probably the light switch. After talking with other firms, I realized they weren't filling the gap that I felt, could be filled. I wanted to go a different route.
I love asking this question because we get very consistent feedback and we call it putting pen to paper, that the best thing that you can do if you have an idea or even a desire to go out on your own is to actually put it on paper.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget some of the early sessions that, my co-founder, Norm, and I had, where, we made a point of physically getting together. And at the time I was living in San Francisco and he was in Chicago. And, even then it almost felt like it was potentially overkill for us to get on a plane,
Yeah.
for us to meet each other in one of our respective cities, for us to clear the furniture out of our apartment and put flip chart paper on the wall and like actually sketch this out.
I love
But I
that.
will tell you, there's such a difference between getting in a room and actually hashing something out and having good conversations about an idea.
Yeah.
And as we sometimes are asked, how do I get out of, potentially the rut of like overthinking and over planning? A lot of people are maybe caught in that like planning cycle,
Yeah.
or a lot of people maybe are having a hard time, breaking out of what's comfortable, which might be their 9-to-5 corporate job. If you actually invest time in putting pen to paper and sketching something out, even if it's something that you already know, or that's inevitable, like those investments add up, and all of a sudden you've invested enough in this idea that you've actually got to push it forward.
100%. You're so right. That I love that fact, because you mentioned a lot of people, and I even talked to those people, they would just have different ideas. They'd want to do something else, but they didn't do that step that you mentioned, putting pen to paper. Or in my case, I was actually like starting to do financial coaching while I was in investment banking. I would talk to clients.
Interesting.
Investment banking is so busy. I would, even on the weekends, I would start talking to clients about just doing financial coaching, just helping them set up different things. And that's what gave me the confidence, like, there's such a demand here. I put the pen to paper. Now let me actually leave and execute this idea, because now is the right time to do so. But you're right.
Mm-hmm.
We got to not spin our wheels. And that's, again, goes back to the risk profile. But if you believe in it, you can execute it. If you put a little pen to paper, it doesn't, especially now is time to kind of do that with the different tech stacks we can use. It's a great opportunity for people to really take that leap.
I love that. You and I talked a couple of days ago about, and I think we even used the term hustle culture.
Yeah.
There's a few folks that I follow and a few that promote a little bit more of the, working hard, a little bit of the grind. And I know that, culturally and even in the business world, that term is a little bit at odds, with the consensus, if you will, a consensus that is leaning a little bit more towards, elevating, balance, quality of life, health, right? And for likely reasons. What is that? But at the same time, I know that as entrepreneurs, there is, whether you call it hustle or grind, work ethic, elbow grease, there's an aspect of that in what we do. So how do you find the right balance, right, between kind of the nose down, like perseverance? I'm gonna push through it no matter what, which we've all needed as small business owners, because at the end of the day, there's either we have teams that we support, or you have a lifestyle that you support, a family, et cetera, right? And at the end of the day, you might be the only one who is left, And so how do you find that balance, right, between the real work ethic and also the levity and the self-awareness to know that you've got to take care of yourself and your friends and your family?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was funny. I keep harkening back to my days in investment banking. There was no balance there, right? It was an area where I didn't have a lot of balance, because you're super 24/7 working, especially something you're not passionate about, right? And as you mentioned, when I left, one of the things I said was like, I want to do something I'm passionate about, but also create balance where I'm able to, like you mentioned, support lifestyle, but also do things I like, rest, keep your mental wellness, work out, do different things where I wasn't able to do it in a grind of something that I wasn't very passionate about. So now for me, it's in the early stages though, for every entrepreneur, you have to be prepared to grind. Because if you're going to build to scale, or to a scale that you have goals there, you are going to put in 24/7. I would take, in the first year, and I don't do that as much now because I don't really need to / want to, but I would take meetings at any time, weekends, whatever. If there was someone overseas I was talking to, even though we didn't support them as much, I would still talk. I would wake up. It's funny. I remember waking up at like 5 to speak to someone that was like in Belgium or something. I don't even know where they were. But that was the point, was I was willing to do something for a year because I wanted to scale to the ability of really helping myself and these clients. But once you get past that initial grind and you've maybe made the skills or goals that you want to, you can take the reins back a little bit and also have that balance, implement that balance. And now I'm doing a better job of, telling clients, okay, let's talk between these hours, or let's, on Saturdays, I really will try to take that day for myself. We can do something maybe on Sunday, but during the week is probably better. But that's a balancing act that you're going to have to understand as an entrepreneur. You'll know when that's right for you, but you will 100% know. It's a gut feeling that every entrepreneur has. But in the beginning, you definitely have to put in that grind for sustainability, to scale, to grow, and it's just part of the game for the beginning portions.
Absolutely. I love that. All right. I want to move on to maybe the second chapter, right, of this talk. I'm super interested in how small business owners are building brand. I'm interested in how small business owners are defining brand. So maybe we'll start there. Two-part question. What does brand mean to you? And why News Street versus, Delano Financial Services?
That's a good question. That's a great question. New Street, I don't know if I've told you this yet, but it was really because as I sat and again, worked on Wall Street, watched the financial area space, watched FinTwit, watched financial advisors, talk to different ones. I saw a gap that I wanted to be filled. And I saw old Wall Street, and New Street is for me, and the brand that I want and which we really do represent, is we are doing things different from traditional Wall Street's done. So everyone I talked to, especially a couple of people I talked to in the last couple of weeks, they said, hey, I went into XYZ bank, tried to ask them about a Roth IRA, but because I don't have $10 million right now as a young professional, they just pretty much brushed me aside. I said, hey, no, I sat down with this person, talked to them for an hour. So we really wanted to talk about how we were doing things different from traditional old Wall Street. And that's actually funny because during the last year, during the pandemic, which we're still in, but we saw, where retail investors, all these different things kind of pop up because it was a pent up aggression over the traditional way of things were done. So that was really the reason why I started New Street, for minorities, women, immigrants, whoever, it doesn't matter who, people that want a different way of doing things. And as far as myself, you're right. I think I just wanted to brand in that way. I didn't think about doing Saporu or Delano. It's because it's a single person. All right, it really is just me and Schwab is my custodian. But I just really liked the way we're doing things in that way, and we are anti that kind of establishment, and that's the way I kind of will continue to be in as far as that goes. But you're right, it is a different, very important thing for people to think about how they're branding and stick to it. That's 100% the way I am. No matter what, we will never, have sort of minimums or bar people from getting help. That's just the way it is. But that is true to our name.
I love that. I'll deposit maybe just one piece of advice for, any small business owner or soon to be small business owner. Never feel ashamed or guilty for saying the word we when you are a one-person shop. And there are a lot of different reasons. I think most people's, when they hear that, they think, oh, well, that's fake it till you make it. Mm-hmm. There's a little bit of that, yes. But the we versus me is a really important distinction in brand. And it's something that I learned very, very early on. I started Thoughtium in 2016. I was a solo practitioner. I was an independent consultant, right? Mm-hmm. And as much as I say, Delano, I know you're so much more than a financial advisor. At the end of the day, when people ask what I do and they didn't know, I would say I'm a management consultant. I'm a strategy consultant. You have to kind of defer to, the industry standard, right? Of course. In many cases. But I chose to bring Thoughtium forward as a way to represent the future, as a way to represent, the platform that I hope to build that was so much bigger than just myself, my services, my name. So it gives you something to shoot for, right? And News Street advisors could be so much more than what your business is today, right? Mm-hmm. The ethos of the way you talk to News Street in terms of a different way of thinking, of kind of breaking through the traditional Wall Street paradigm, so much can fit underneath that. So there's also like a scalability aspect that you want to set that precedent very, very early on. Create a brand that is agnostic of your name and specifically what you do. Mm-hmm. So News Street, if you wanted to, we joke, like at the end of the day, like if Thoughtium ended up becoming a t-shirt company, like Thoughtium would fit. Mm-hmm. We're not going to be a t-shirt company, but that brand would fit, right? Mm-hmm. And same thing with News Street. So there's a scalability aspect to it. And then the third and final one, which I think is so interesting, it's one that we continue to benefit from. The earlier you can build a brand outside of your name, the sooner you'll be able to break free from clients only seeking you and your services. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Which is so important for us. Now we're a team of 10 plus. Mm-hmm. And, it started with just myself, and I brought my co-founder on, and for a couple years, it was, our client organizations would bring Norm or Anthony in. Mm-hmm. And, Norm and Anthony had a business by the name of Thoughtium. Now we're, 4 years in, we're a much larger team. We're way more diverse. We have 4 capabilities, not just 2. And organizations, want to bring Thoughtium in. not just Norm and Anthony. And that you have to set that precedent very, very early on. So that's why, when we first met and you just so confidently and comfortably used the word we, I love that you're doing that. And I would encourage any small business owner to do that as a way to, to save time and to build brand.
I love that. I love that.
So tell me a little bit about, for us, brand is more than just messaging and name and logo. Community is a big part of it. So what does community mean? And I would say outside of, your client network, how are you building community?
That's a great question. I think, the big way, the big tool we're all using right now is social media, obviously, to build community. And it's just, putting out content that people that's from you, from your heart, from where you come from and what you believe in is transparent, but that people can really take a liking to, and if it fits for them, that they're going to subscribe, they're going to look for that content. And now where we're looking at the social media's creator economy, community and content's more than anything. I think we will at some point, or we already kind of seeing that, we're splitting up into different niches of just like, there's no one big conglomerate that's pushing out information now. It's all these different areas and niches where people are finding that fits to them and fits to what they're looking for their content. There's so many great, different areas of financial coaching, different areas on social media where you're finding that. But for me, I'm just using that. I'm speaking to people and I'm trying to keep a pulse on what people are looking for and what people are asking, the questions they're asking, because that helps me understand, where certain communities are lacking, where there's certain holes and literacy in different areas. But for me, it's just been really just putting out content when it comes to podcasts or different things. But I think it is important. I think a community is important because you can disseminate and really reach people on a way that they can understand and disseminate your information and where from your perspective. It's super important as a small business owner, any entrepreneur to be able to have their perspective out there, depending on what, because there'll be so much different information. You want to have your perspective out there. So we're building a community in that area. And I think it works well.
What are some of the really fruitful kind of hot channels for you at this point? It sounds like, you're able to explore some atypical channels, social media, et cetera. Like where are you finding that you're able to provide the most value?
I think, speaking, I prefer, different people. I don't know if you guys do different people, like other advisors do blogs and speed mediums, and I'm not a big person on that. I love speaking to people. I love speaking to people, whether it's one-on-one or to an audience or whatever, because I think that's the best way I articulate. So whether it's speaking on a podcast, which we do, or just on TV or different spots, those are the areas where I feel like it's the best way for me authentically to connect to people, because it's just, I'm able to really listen to them. One, if we're speaking on a one-on-one candid conversation, or two, just articulate what I'm thinking and my perspective. I think I articulate best when I'm speaking to someone or speaking to a group of people.
And if I'm not mistaken, you have, is it 70 some episodes of your podcast?
Yeah. I've literally just been doing it every week. So ever since we started, every week, 70s, I think we did 79 episodes. So I like
awesome.
doing it. Just getting the content out there.
So I want to tap into that a little bit. Because I can sense, like, you use the word confidence at the very beginning of this podcast, and like I think that is one real quality that comes through in the way that you speak to your business. Most people, when asked, I heard you have 70 plus episodes of a podcast, they would almost concede a little bit and be like, yeah, it's a journey, right? Or it's a work in progress, or I may not be the. But I think, again, there's a bit of confidence in the way that you speak to what you're doing that is a key ingredient to running a successful small business. Now, I didn't check, Delano, but I can imagine that you don't have, hundreds of thousands of subscribers on your podcast, nor do we, right? I hope you don't have a couple. I mean, I hope you do, but let me clarify, do you or do you not?
No.
Because again, you're so confident. I'm like, well, hey, you could have 500,000 subscribers and I just don't know it. But being a small business like ours, I know that takes time. It takes differentiation. Was there ever a point, I'm assuming the answer is yes, was there ever a point where you started to feel a little unconfident or self-conscious about, the rate at which you were putting content out there, and just feeling like, man, I don't have the subs, I don't have the views, I don't have the eyes. What am I doing, and what are my family and friends thinking that I'm trying to do here? Like what are some of those moments, and what do you meet those moments with?
Yeah, I think it was the most it was the most prevalent. It was at the peak as far as the uncertainty of releasing content in the very beginning. Actually, I always joke about it. I was telling my friends, my girlfriend, that the first time I posted on LinkedIn, like, because I didn't really use LinkedIn that much as far as content. I post on Instagram every other day. I was to LinkedIn. The first time I posted on LinkedIn about my podcast, I was pretty scared about just posting, because that's like remember your professional network, all that. Like, I just started the business. I was pretty scared about, like, okay, well, how will it be received? X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
To my surprise, actually, the reception was actually pretty good as far as people like, that's cool. Like, they liked it. I got good feedback in the beginning. And I think the first episode, please, if you guys listen, don't listen to the first episode, because it was not that great. Like, it wasn't that. It was my first time ever putting out content ever. And so I had to learn, that was the height of it. That was the height of the uncertainty and the insecurity of putting out content for people to consume. Because you said, I just speak transparently on the podcast or wherever I'm at. I speak transparently. I try to come from my perspective the best that I know it. And so, like you said, having people receive that and having people put it out there, especially people that have never seen you in that light before, it could be unraveling. But as we keep going back to that confidence thing, you have to have the confidence that you're doing your best. You're putting something out there that people want to hear, and they'll let you know in real time. That's the great thing about social media. People let you know, people give you feedback. You can see the different metrics and data about what's going on, and just being persistent with it, especially with content, with the way you guys doing 50 some episodes. And, I just do some every week, sometime Thursday. You see that consistency is what people will look for. Even the podcast I listen to is one a couple a week on my that I listen to for my own enjoyment. I'll listen every week, just because that's just like my routine. That's what I do. I enjoy it. And so we have to continue to have that confidence, even if we had that initial insecurity about posting our own content.
That could be a whole nother episode, or even a whole book written about content creation. And there's a certain level of confidence, of course, that you need to break through, especially the initial phases of the imposter syndrome. That's really what it is like, who am I, right, to start a podcast and put it out there? A little bit of the self-consciousness around, geez, I'm 10 or 15 episodes in and we still have like less than 20 clicks or views. And then the third piece there is like resilience. And I think that's one of it's specifically as it pertains to content creation. It is the repetition of just simply showing up week over week, episode after episode, blog after blog. There's a certain resilience that you build that I think is transferable to other aspects of your business.
Yep.
And if you can build that muscle of showing up every week and putting your perspective out there and trying to meet the needs of even one or two listeners, there's a bit of resilience of like just showing up and hitting live or hitting record that is so transferable to other aspects.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into it here in a moment, but I think that's one of the things that we as small business owners, it's an opportunity that we have as small business owners that you don't get in large organizations where you may not have the opportunity to build that resilience of creating and posting perspective.
Yeah. 100% agree with you.
Awesome. Okay. I actually, one of our teammates just sent a really awesome question that we probably should ask all of our folks, but we've got a couple folks that are particularly interested, Delano, in what are you reading, watching, listening to today?
Oh, let's go with reading. Interesting stuff though. So I'm reading a lot on, just different, big leaders that large corporations, just the sense of like what they did, like the Steve Jobs book. I just finished. I'm reading another book on venture deals and different things. So I'm really trying to understand and fully lock into different areas. What I like to do is I like to read about stuff that I'm really passionate about and that I think I don't have a great handle on right now. So I'm reading different areas in that right now. I just bought and just started a venture book that's really going through overall how venture deals are done and different things of that nature. So that's where I'm doing the reading. Watching, I just watch for entertainment. So I'm always watching live sports. I don't know. We can talk a little bit fun, guys. I watch live sports. I love the basketball season just ended, so I just watched. Bucks.
It was so good.
Yeah,
I don't care what people said. I thought the finals were extremely entertaining.
It was really great basketball. It was honestly really great basketball. I'm a big football fan, so I'm gonna be ready for the football season. But
who's your team? Are you Vikings?
Vikings.
Okay, cool.
So I love the Vikings. But yeah, and I'm also watching, my girlfriend has never seen Grey's Anatomy. So we started Grey's Anatomy and she's in shock.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's going to take you 10 years to catch up.
Yeah, I know. So I've seen it, but she has not seen it. Oh, I've seen most of, like up to season 10 or something, but we just started that. And listening podcasts, I like some different ones. I will just listen to a sports one before we got on. But I try to have a little bit of entertainment. I don't want to always be consuming stuff because I'm a big personal development person. So I don't always want to be consuming stuff that's always personal development, because you want to give yourself a little bit of break. I remember I used to only listen to podcasts that are about this or how to get better. I'm like, you want to give yourself a break. You have to do that and do a little bit of entertainment in between there.
Are there one or two specific tools that you use in running a business that you would have a really hard time giving up?
Yeah.
And it could be pieces of software, apps, tools that were handed down to you.
Yeah. I would think, well, obviously, that's a good question. I would say, social media would probably be the one area, because I'm at this point, like you said, you guys have been brought, your people are going to Thadium because of the reputation. And that's, where New Streets, luckily by God's grace has been able to get to. But in the beginning, social media was a great way to reach, everybody in my network and a single press of a couple buttons and let them know what I was doing, what I was attempting approaching. So social media would be probably one of the areas, and it's a simple tool to obviously say. I think every business owner can attest to that, as getting information out there, and just the ability to speak to people. I mean, Zoom, what we're on right now, I'm able to be in touch with clients in 31 states, and that's because I'm able to Zoom. I didn't fly to. I probably haven't met 90% of the people I work with. Like, I haven't flown to all these different areas, but I've been able to use these tech stacks, these tools from my home, to be able to speak to them, understand what they're looking for, be able to see if we have solutions that can meet those problems. So, being able to have a tech stack that, as an entrepreneur, that you can rely on is super important. I wouldn't be able to do. I was always going to be virtual advisor. I was always going to be working from home. That was the plan in the beginning, was never to do anything different from that. And that was my strategy alone. But those are the tools that I really, as we both know, that having an online presence and a virtual presence and being able to use tech stacks from online is super important in this day and age, as we saw through what happened over the last year, and people are now very, very hip to that.
I mean, there's so many times when I think about, had we started this business 10 years ago, there would be so many tools that did not exist. And then you say 15, 20 years ago, social media doesn't exist. But I would say just in the last 10 years, just in terms of business productivity tools that are affordable, that are not these kind of huge enterprise pieces of capital software that you need to purchase. I'll give a couple really specific ones for anybody who's interested. One may be very obvious. We use Canva like you wouldn't believe for a lot of our just kind of organic creative, YouTube thumbnails, Instagram story templates, a lot of our posts on LinkedIn. Canva is incredible. I know everybody in the world right now is using Canva, but again, that didn't exist 3 years ago. The second one, maybe not as obvious, we use Restream. That's part of our tech stack. Restream.io is how we broadcast to all of our social media channels, and how I'm able to kind of run this one-man show, being the producer and the facilitator. So for those of you who are looking to stream live, there's a handful of different streaming services. Restream is the best. We're not sponsored by them, but they're really, really good. Okay, I'm going to do a quick lightning round. We've got about 5 minutes left, and I have a couple of just kind of interesting questions that I want to throw your way as a small business owner. How are the Vikings going to do this year?
Great question. Offense is looking strong. We brought back a lot of people. Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson at the receiver point, second year, sophomore season. He's looking good. I think we second the NFC East to the Packers, but I think we make the playoffs, and maybe we win one game, but we'll see. That's my prediction on the Vikings.
Were you a Brett Favre fan when he came to Minnesota?
Yeah, because we had a season where we won like 14 games. I was like, that was awesome.
Pass away from the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So of course, 100%. The Saints, they screwed us over, but with that, a little the bounty on Brett. But I was a Brett fan when he was playing in the purple.
What do you say to your clients who, maybe have done a little bit of research, maybe haven't done a lot of research, and they come to you and they say, I want to get into cryptocurrency?
Yeah. That's a great question. I one tell them, what is your intent? What is your goal? So for speculating and trading, that's not how we do any of our portfolio management. It's all long term. That's why people come to us. That's why we've done a good job. So we do actually manage crypto for clients through BitIRA and Blockchain and Gemini, which is the platform that BitIRA sits on. But we try to understand their intent and goal. Anytime I speak to someone, like, what is your goal? Is you just for more of a long-term thing or a short-term speculative trading thing? If so, if it's a long-term, then we do have some of our proprietary research that we're going to use to invest for you long-term, depending on what your budget looks like and different things of that nature. So we definitely want to assess that first, because people have to level set what cryptocurrency is. It's so volatile. They think XYZ, I'm going to, we have to level set their expectations and help them understand, what we're trying to do here.
It's interesting. I asked that question for a real reason. I more and more of my friends are kind of like, they've been kind of waiting on the sideline, and they spend a weekend kind of learning, and they get really excited about it. But I know there's two sides to the tale, and having a goal in mind is probably the best thing that you can do. I'm so curious, because you and I jammed on this a little bit. What are the one or two things that you still today have so much fun doing as a small business owner that you could never have done in a large organization, or never have gotten away with in a large organization?
Yeah, we talked about that. As you said, just like the way we post, the way we do things and promote our brand and talk to people online, which if you're in a large organization, there's so much bureaucracy and different red tape you have to get through to even like make a post on your social media channels, I would assume. So that's probably one, just like being authentically yourself too. Like I never felt like, I don't know who this is, I never felt authentically myself within any of the corporate organizations I work with. I felt, I was not reaching my full value, full potential, because I was I'm not gonna get into all that sense of that, but it was not really being the value. And I've been able to really, in 2 years, really outprove whatever value cap that I was given within corporate America. That's not being arrogant. That's just the truth. And so being able to really be yourself, being able to really fully believe in your confidence, being able to fully just be yourself online is 100% something that I would never be able to give up, just in general. So those are probably the main things.
Is the MBA still worth it?
Oh, that's a great question. 100% believe so. If I didn't take that MBA route, I would not have come to New York. I would not have been exposed to different things that really molded me, right? I would not have been exposed to different people where I saw how they moved, how they thought. And I'm a big practitioner. So if I don't know something at first, I probably will it's like someone picks up basketball and they don't know how to shoot, but I will literally practice every day until I feel like I'm better than everyone else that's shooting a basketball. And so when I saw how the different competition was, I wasn't the best stat person. I didn't come with the highest GMAT or whatever. I just said, hey, I'm just someone that's going to work, figure out my way, hustle the way I kind of do things, versus someone that's going to, take a traditional route. But it was 100%. I think Booth really exposed me to that. I met a lot of great people from my time in Chicago and Booth. I think for now, people are shifting their mindset on like what those things mean, especially we're seeing small business being the burgeoning of people saying, hey, I want to start my own thing. I don't know if you read that article. There was a mass exodus right now from jobs. There's a mass exodus from jobs. People saying, hey, either I don't like it and I want something else, or I want to start my own thing because I can now more than ever. And I don't know how that shifts how people look at education in the future, but we'll see. It's going to be very, very interesting to watch.
Final question. News Street Advisors is what in 5 years?
Good question. I was actually thinking about this when I was at the gym. One, I think we're the biggest, we're continuing to be the fastest growing RIA in the country. We will be, I don't know any other firms. I don't really watch them that much, but I feel like we'll be one of the only firms that's managing stock market stuff for clients, that's managing cryptocurrency for clients, and also investing in early stage businesses for clients, and just continue to grow in that nature. We really just want to continue to help people and keep the client households keeps building rapidly. But I think that's just where we're sitting at, and I want to continue to do that. We want to get into more philanthropy efforts. I want to start really, it's going to be probably in the next year, we'll start a college fund. So people, speaking about college, people that still want to go that route, hey, how can we help them and have a scholarship open for people that are doing that? My parents have a nonprofit, Caregivers International, where they're helping people from there, they're from Africa, they're helping people from different African countries, widows, have something to eat. So we're helping build up funds to send those funds over so they can buy rice, food, different things. So we want to be all over. It sounds a lot, but the 5 years you can get a lot of done. We'll see what you guys have done in 5 years. What we've tried to accomplish here in 2 years. And so I think 5 years is a lot of time and effort, but we're really excited for that.
It sounds exciting. So for those folks who are excited to follow this journey, how do folks find you?
Yeah, thank you, Anthony. Just social media would be great. Delano, Delano SAP as in Peter, ORU. So that's pretty much my handle for like most of my personal social medias. And then there, the links in the bio, you'll see the company page. And so we also do the podcast every week. So, I really, really, again, enjoy this platform, Anthony, what you're doing, live streams and how you're helping small business owners and navigate the whims of it, especially, there's no way the people, when they first start their business, I would rather pay for advice from people that have a tie to your success versus paying or getting advice from someone who's never done it before. That's just like in corporate, go to your friends and family. They're not going to understand it because they're not going to really understand what you're doing. But if you go to someone that says, hey, we're on the outskirts, we're helping other people navigate these when we're tied to your success, that's much better than asking someone, that's not tied to your success. That's my opinion on that. But, I think it makes a lot of sense.
I couldn't agree more. And I really appreciate that perspective. One of the things that we've learned through building a community and navigating now is that we could spend the next 5 years, the next 50 years pouring into this community of 30 to 50 business leaders. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the things that, has really allowed us to see the value in continuing to show up and continue to expand this network, is that this network, however small it may be, is extremely valuable. So, Delano, you'll have access to everybody else in this network. You'll have some folks probably reach out to you. And that's what this is all about, is connecting particularly small business owners with other folks that are, handling some of the same problems. And I want to thank you for stepping up today. I want to thank you for your perspective. It was so interesting to hear your story. And I would say most importantly, I want to commend you for the confidence that you are taking in your day-to-day actions, and also in making sure that you look up and out as you create the future for your business. So we're so proud to be connected with you, and we're so excited to have you a part of the Navigating Now community. So thank you for joining.
Thank you, Anthony. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up, I want to just thank our community, those folks who tune in on a weekly basis, those folks who may be tuning in for the first time. Navigating Now is all about building community. Those folks that have unique perspectives and want to bring them to the forefront, quicker than your standard HBR article. That's kind of our tagline here. And we hope to bring that perspective both to you all on a weekly basis, as well as those folks who step in and want to speak on our platform. With that, I also want to, just remind folks that we have a new offering by the name of Thought Team Perspectives. We spent the last 4 weeks really going deep internally here at Thought Team about what we're calling Work 2.0. This is, us as a small organization redefining the way that we work together. And it's also about us supporting our client organizations in transitioning, whether that's to a hybrid model or to a new working model. And last month's Thought Team Perspectives was all about bringing that discussion and those hard-hitting questions to teams and organizations. So, the Perspectives is all about how we drive the way we see the world, the workplace, and all of us who are within. You can find that 3-part series about Work 2.0, as well as a very unique downloadable toolkit that you can use with your teams to start the discussion on how to transition into a hybrid work model. And it is so much more than how you are organized or even where you're sitting from, at home or at work. It is all about how you connect. It is all about preserving those elements of our previous work lives that matter most, and also creating the future, bringing in real perspective, real requirements, and even real boundaries that will allow us to work better as teams moving forward. So thoughtteam.com/perspectives is where you can view that 3-part series. You can also download the Work 2.0 toolkit. Again, you can use those in small meetings with your teams to start the discussion. And I want to thank the entire Thought team for really organizing around this, practicing what we teach, and putting forward that perspective in such a timely fashion. It was really exciting to bring that to you all. With that being said, I will say so long to our community. Delano, thanks again for joining. We go live every Thursday at 3 o'clock. We'll see you next week. We hope you all have a great rest of the week. Talk to you soon.